Here's a secret, I put off filming this video for months. Why? Because I'm talking about the unicorn of copywriting, the hook or the big idea. It's one of those things I had to sit down and think, how do I find this? But I ripped the band-aid off and you get to benefit. By the end of this video, you're gonna know how to recognize a hook in the wild. You'll learn what that big idea is and how to draft your own for different campaigns you're working on. And I'm gonna give you loads of examples along the way. Hey there, if we've not yet met, my name is Ashlyn Carter and I'm a conversion copywriter for creative entrepreneurs like you. Not knowing what to say or how to say it shouldn't be the thing holding you back from making sales, and that's why I do what I do. As I'm getting into this video, go ahead and grab this freebie checklist I've got for you below this video. It's the Launch Copy and Content Checklist. It's truly the ultimate checklist of everything you need to write before your next launch. I know, I've written a lot of them. Get that on your desk for what you've got coming down the pipeline in 2023, and let's get into the content. Let's get right into it by defining our terms. What is a big idea or a hook? The word hook is one of those words like bark. Do I mean what's on the tree or the sound my dogs that sit in this office make when the doorbell rings? Hook is a pretty hot word in marketing land. Click like if you've heard it in the past 72 hours. You probably have. It can be the first line in a script or a video or the first line in some Instagram caption copy. But in this video, when I say hook, for the remainder of the video, I am talking about what copywriters refer to as the big idea. It is the #1 strongest argument that you have for your offer. If you are a lawyer, this is your best statement. It is the absolute creme de la creme argument that you have for why people should work with you or buy from you. By the way, I've done a video before about how to lawyer up in your copy, so tee that up. Be sure to watch it after this one. Let's say you're launching something in 2023. You probably have big plans too. If you can find a big idea of something that you're launching, this is the single theme that all the stories and the narratives that you're crafting, all the copy it takes to write a launch, this is what everything is pointing to. It unifies the entire launch narrative. OG big idea evangelist, famed copywriter David Ogilvy said this: "I doubt if more than one campaign in 100 has a big idea." I'm supposed to be one of the most fertile inventors of big ideas, but in my long career as a copywriter, I've not had more than 20, if that. Yep, you can absolutely launch or pitch something without a big idea, but here is the big kicker. Unless your launch or your website or your sales page has a big idea, it is not performing at its highest level. On the agency side of my business, I was talking with the other copywriters about how do you come up with a hook? How do you know when you have it or not? Rebecca said it's the double take, oh snap moment in copy. It's almost too good to be true or kind of connotes that idea. And let me just say, this is something that AI cannot do for you. I've done a video before about AI copywriting and my thoughts on that. These robots got nothing on you when it comes to figuring out the big idea. I'm gonna give you some tips for writing your own big ideas and different things that you're launching in this video. But before we get there, I wanna show you a few examples. I think that's gonna help this click. There are famous examples you absolutely know of. Steve Jobs, when he introduced the iPod, I almost said iPad, forgot about iPods. When he introduced it, he said, it's 1,000 songs in your pocket. Boom. Same with FedEx, when your package absolutely positively has to get there overnight. In fact, I remember back when Runaway Bride came out, remember that one? In 1999, there was a part in the movie where Julia Roberts' character hops on the back of a FedEx truck to escape. Somebody says, where's she going? Another character says, I don't know, but she'll be there by 10:30 tomorrow. I remember in theaters, my mom laughed during that moment and I said, why was that funny? And she had to explain it to me. That is a big idea. It's so repeatable that it's sticky and others can say it. One more famous example that you may know of, Snickers, their big idea is you're not you when you're hungry. Look at their website. All their marketing is created around that one single narrative. All right, let's bring it on home to the small business sector. I'm gonna show you a couple of the big ideas in my own products, just because if you're in my little ecosystem, you may have been pitched them before. The whole concept of prime to launch is no one cares about your launch unless you give them a reason to. Not only is that on the top of the sales page in some different ads, but it's the recurring message. And I'm gonna use that as the closing pitch. So the last time I introduce it to you as an offer to purchase, I'm gonna remind you of that one more time. Copywriting for creatives is based around the idea that you need to be your own best spokesperson. And if you can't tell me why you do what you do the way you do it differently or better than someone else, we have a problem. It's in the sales pages, it's in the emails, it's the big idea. Throwback example, when I worked on Jenna Kutcher's The Instagram Lab, I built the sales page argument around the idea that you need to algorithm proof your business. So those are 6 examples of sticky big ideas and hooks. What do they all have in common? That's gonna bring me to this checklist of 8 elements of a big idea. This is how you know when you got one. First, these punchy sentences are repeatable. Bringing up all the famous copywriters in this video, but Eugene Schwartz could have been talking about the big idea when he said this. It's easily remembered and easily retold, and since it's short, it must also necessarily be simple. There isn't enough room for it to get complicated, not if it wants to retain its punch. And punch it must. I'm going to put that quote in 2020 speak. Basically, it should be memeable. It's a great concept I first saw from Stefan Georgi. Your big idea is almost like a meme. It's something that your reader, your viewer grasps and wants to share with others, or it just tucks in their head and they can't get it out of their mind because they think about it all the time when they're weighing, do they want to buy this or not? Okay, these next 5 are from Ogilvy. Remember, he's kind of the OG big idea evangelist that came up with this concept way back decades and decades ago, but they still matter today. I love this one. Number 1, does it make you gasp when you see it? Related to that, number 2, do you wish you thought of it yourself? These 2 remind me of each other because shout out to my members of the Copybar Collective. When I'm auditing your work and I read something and I go, oh my gosh, I wish I'd written that. That's so good. That should be a clue to you that this is probably something that could be a hook. So pro tip for you, when you have a piece of copy or a sales page and you want some other people to look at it, send it to them, ask them to loom themselves reading through it. And I'm telling you, when they're reading it out loud and they say different things or they go, oh my gosh, that's so good. Those are clues. Those are arrows pointing to you saying, hey, this is probably something that's pretty sticky. Number 4, is it unique? I like the way Joanna Wiebe says this though. Is it stated like no one else has ever said it? Number 4, does it work with the strategy? Are you going to be able to kind of base a lot of things around this? Number 6, this is one of my favorite ones. Is it sustainable? It's got to withstand the test of time. Here's my hot take, but if you come up with a really good big idea for one of your offers, it should be able to stay like that for multiple launches. Ogilvy said a big idea can last about 30 years. I think maybe this day and age more like 10 years. Your hook has got to be able to withstand time. This is like an everlasting truth or a bedrock fact. Number 7, here's another one from copywriter Joanna Wiebe. Does it create cognitive dissonance in your reader's mind? Does it talk about what they most want? You want this reader to be suspended in a little bit of a state of curiosity, like, oh, that sounds so good, but also, I don't know if I can believe it, but I want to. That's a good thing. They want to be able to believe you, and you've got the receipts and you can show them that they can. All right, we've unpacked what a big idea is, and I've shown you lots of examples of sticky hooks. I've given you a little checklist of 8 things that it needs to be, and that whole succinct thing is major. Let's move into how in the heck do you write a compelling big idea? Like I told you, this is the thing I drug my feet on because I thought, I don't really know how I do this. I just do or I don't, and I can tell you when I got one, and I can tell you when I don't got one. So now that I've made it sound like that unicorn of copywriting, here is though how you can inch closer to finding your own big ideas in your copy. Okay, step 1, you stuff your brain with ideas and research. When I'm working on copy for one of my own offers, like right now, I'm working on the sales page copy and the messaging for the Art of Efficiency. It's my productivity and systems course. I am dwelling in all the client and the customer voice hacking, all the research that I've done. I'm just sitting in it. Copywriting for creative students. This is all the phase 1 work you do, all that client customer voice hacking, all the mining, all the positioning work you do. You're just marinating in it. This is why you can't microwave a hook or there's not a template for a big idea. They show themselves. I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting on my back porch working through one of our clients' sales pages. So my team had helped execute it. I copy chiefed everything. I'm reading over the sales page and I was like, I think this is the big idea. And I just dwelled in that. Let me show you what that moment was like and flip the camera around. This is a client project I'll never forget because I remember when the idea of the big idea came to me. So I've talked about our Sweet 16 sales page process before, and I want to hang out up here. By the way, just a little bonus tip. I was telling somebody this yesterday. I usually like the cursor to be around there it is. 1/3-ish of the way down the page when the solution comes up. So from here down, it'll be focused on the solution, but from here up, it'll be focused on message matching and making sure that this person understands they're in the right place. And we're showing empathy, but also helping them rationally understand why they may need a product like this. Okay, so here is, so we're getting into the copy, and why I want to stay up here is because this is a lot of that client customer voice hacking. We're really trying to understand what and identify with the one reader, one idea, and one offer. So here is a little bit of, and I'm not going to pause and read through all of this, but when I was trying to find, and I'm reviewing this, I'm reading the sales page over and over again, trying to figure out where is the sticky message? Like where is something that I could dive into a little bit more? I'm talking about how they would feel. Let's see, my biggest goal, not just a date in the calendar. That's voice of customer. Let's see, the thing is, this is pretty sticky. It's your brand and reputation on the line with your client experience. I love numbers and data. I'm probably drawn to that because that's how I naturally think.
But when I saw this, 91% of leads are word of mouth referrals. So because when I thought about this, I thought further, and I was like, okay, if 90% of everybody that comes to you is not even through not even through all the ways that we stress out about ads, social media, all this kind of stuff, but that traffic is coming from relationships, 90%. Even if this were like 70% of all your leads, if they're coming through relationships and you kill that relationship beautifully, kill it with client experience, then if you have a 50% close rate on, 90% of the people that come your way, you are like filling your count. Like why are we stressing so much about Instagram and everything else? And it was when that hit me. And again, this comes with like reading the page, dwelling on it, thinking about it. And so that kind of nuggeted in the back of my mind. The more I thought about that over the next few weeks and like thought about this, I was like, that is it. That is the hook. So then I can go back and rework messaging at the top of the page and throughout the page that's focused on that concept. I would come up with a clearer, better way to say this, but that's how the idea would come to me. That's what I wanted to show you in this little over the shoulder, is how the idea enters my head. So again, to recap, just be reading, constantly going back over the voice of customer data, reviewing client customer voice hacking, dwelling in the product. And then it's when like one thing sticks out at me and I think that's interesting. That's my clue to stay on that a little bit more. And did you see how after I read this, then my brain stayed on it a little bit more and I kind of thought, well then why the heck are all the photographers in this market freaking out over like producing so much content on Instagram, for example, when if they can just they could ideally fill their calendar through relationship marketing done well with a beautiful client experience. Like if they knock their client experience out of the park and everybody that works with them even just recommends one other person, that would fill their calendar. So that's where the idea of a big idea would come from. And I would take that and then go through the rest of the process.
Okay, step 2, you're going to incubate. Walk away. Big ideas or hooks are totally the idea that comes when you're in the shower, on a walk, working out, cooking, folding laundry, doing anything but sitting at your computer. Professor John Cuneo said this. He said there's 2 paths the brain can take to solve a problem. The analytical path, where we deliberately, methodically work through a problem by trying different solutions, and insight, where a solution pops into our heads out of nowhere. Big ideas are totally that second type. I loved this. Another copywriter described it as Jesus's description of Armageddon coming, like a thief in the night. Don't rush it. They come when you don't expect them to. It takes not like an hour, but more about a week. Step 3, find a hypothesis. This is what I want to challenge you to do because I've seen a lot of launches fail because they haven't at least tried a big idea. You don't really know if a hook is hooky until your audience tries it on and you're able to see how it resonates with them. This also takes launching something multiple times. I see a lot of people launch something 1 or 2 times and they give up. You're just beginning your journey. Keep going. Once you see a big idea in action or you're able to come up with one, you get addicted to it. It becomes that missing Bigfoot thing out there that you're like, I know I can see this. I know I can get it again. I've just got to find it. Okay, let me explain the difference in a big idea and the onliness factor. So they are not the same thing. When I say onliness factor, again, my students inside Copywriting for Creatives know how to find theirs. That is your UVP, your USP. That relates specifically to the product being sold. Your onliness factor or your pitch differentiates your product and it makes people want to buy from you. The big idea relates to the promise of your sales copy. This is what captures your attention and makes you want to engage with the copy. Like I said at the top of this video, this is your number 1 lawyer up type argument. It's your one very convincing theme and you're going to tie everything together through this. But they have to work together. The unique value prop or the onliness factor, the USP, it's the bait, it's the thing that solves the reader's problem, dangles the results they're looking for. But the hook is what does what a hook does and it gets them on the line and it reels them in. It is that so good, succinct sales pitch. Here's my last Ogilvy reference from this video, I promise. He said, you'll never invent fame and fortune unless you also invent big ideas. So there's my challenge for you. If you've had a launch that failed before or you've got one coming up, consider figuring out a big idea. It is gonna take some work. Like I said, it's something that can't be microwaved, but oh my gosh, if you can figure out the one big hook and big idea narrative of your whole launch, everything gets easier. Writing every single bit of copy so much easier. Related to that, right below this video is the ultimate launch copy and content checklist. Grab that freebie, download it, and make sure you've got every piece of messaging set before your next big marketing campaign. Now you know how to step into your copy laboratory and figure out what the big idea is, but what about a piece of messaging itself that you definitely need to turn sales? Be sure to watch this next video I've got teed up for you. I'm talking all about how to craft compelling product descriptions. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.